Hey everyone, chaomix here. You ever just wind up on that really weird part of the internet where you just kind of stumble upon extremely bizarre Sonic crack ships? Like you'll be doing your own thing, completely unrelated, and then it's like, boom, crack ship. That ever happened to you? Just me? To be quite honest, I'm really just not into shipping characters. Kind of a really weird concept to me and just not the reason I'm personally invested in this series. If you're into it, that's cool. I could just never see myself getting behind it. But with that being said, Sonic has had quite the handful of love interests throughout the years, from all different sorts of characters and species, especially when looking outside the scope of just the video games and going into some of the other forms of media like the cartoons and comics. I was surprised by just how many there were. Let's take a few minutes and talk about some of them. In the West, there was this huge push for supplemental Sonic media during the early 90s. With the games being so popular, especially in the West, Sega licensed the series to several Western companies to experiment with their own take on the Sonic the Hedgehog universe. This came in the form of cartoons and comics, which feature original universes, stories, and characters that actually weren't part of the game's lore. One of these characters was Princess Sally Acorn. Her first appearance was in the Saturday morning cartoon show Sonic the Hedgehog, dubbed Sonic Sat AM. She would also appear in the Archie comic book series, which followed and continued the story of the cartoon, which ended after only 2 seasons. Sally Acorn is the leader of a ragtag resistance team, the Freedom Fighters, constantly planning to thwart the terrorist reign of Dr. Robotnik. Her entire family and kingdom were taken away from her by Robotnik, and throughout the story, Sally and her Freedom Fighters battle to retake their world and reunite with their friends and family, who have all succumbed to the control of Robotnik. Within this group of Freedom Fighters is Sonic himself, and he and Sally have a very romantic chemistry between each other. The best comparison I can make is Sally is like the honor roll AP student dating the school jock. The personalities actually complement each other pretty well, I'd say. A lot of the time, Sally catches and corrects Sonic's hot-headed and spontaneous behavior, while Sonic pushes and inspires Sally to do things she otherwise would have thought impossible. Sonic and Sally have many adventures with each other, and in some iterations of the comics, they even get married and have a family. Now, I'm going to admit I'm actually not too knowledgeable about the comics, as I haven't really read too many of them, but I've had a lot of fans ask me to cover content from within the comic book lore. The one thing I am familiar with, however, are the front cover pages of the Archie comics that appear in the Sonic Mega Collection gallery. I used to obsessively look at these pages because a lot of them had really awesome art. I was never able to actually read any of the inside parts, but I would always try to imagine what the story was like just from looking at the cover illustrations. And I gotta say, the front cover artworks are like the biggest clickbait ever, before clickbaiting was even a thing. Like, just take a look at some of these. Oh, Sonic dies. Uh-oh, Sally dies. Sonic and Sally get married. Oh my god, like what is going on here? But besides the comics and television show, Sally never really appears in any of the mainline Sonic titles. So while she technically is official, she isn't exactly canon to the Sonic game universe. While we're still on the topic of comics, there were actually 2 more less prominent love interests exclusive to the Archie comics. The first one is Mina Mongoose, a member of the Freedom Fighters who's also a renowned singer. Often competing against Amy and Sally, she idolizes Sonic and works alongside him any chance she can get. But in one iteration of the comics, she eventually ends up marrying Tails. Fiona Fox is an even more obscure character. After being captured, she was attempted to be rescued by Sonic, but this plan ultimately failed. This would leave Fiona to hold a grudge against Sonic and the Freedom Fighters. She would eventually find herself working alongside of the Freedom Fighters, but her allegiance is a bit dodgy. She jumps from good side to bad side, and overall her story is a bit complicated, but there are many instances where she's extremely flirty with Sonic. Around the same time with the release of Sonic Sat AM, Sonic CD was released on the Sega CD. This was our 3rd mainline installment to this series, and with every new game, we'd slowly start to be introduced to more and more new characters that would eventually become staples to the series. One of these new characters we would be introduced to in Sonic CD was none other than Amy Rose, originally named Rosie the Rascal, or in the Western release of Sonic CD, she was named Princess Sally. I think this was Sega of America's way of trying to tie in the TV show and the comic books into the games, but this is the only instance of Amy being called Sally. Oh yeah, I can definitely see the resemblance here. Amy is Sonic's self-proclaimed girlfriend, but it's super obvious that the feeling isn't mutually reciprocated, as Sonic is constantly shown fleeing away from Amy's obsessive affection towards him. High-key, Amy definitely simps for Sonic. It's like she has a sixth sense that lets her track in on Sonic's location, wherever he may be. Her compulsive behavior in following Sonic around wherever he goes is borderline stalkerish. She really doesn't beat around the bush either. In Sonic Adventure 2, she flat out blackmails Sonic, only letting him out of being jailed on the condition that he marries her. She lets it go as soon as he refuses, but similar examples like this can be seen all over the place. But for real, the reason she's so obsessed with Sonic is because of his extremely righteous attitude and his selfless actions in saving the world and other people, including Amy herself. They have this type of cat and mouse relationship with each other, which leads to some pretty funny moments where Sonic ends up being put in situations where he's stuck with Amy and has to deal with her nonsense. Although he acts annoyed on the surface, I feel like it's mostly a facade put up in order to act cool and tough. It is shown on multiple occasions that Sonic really does care for Amy, maybe not romantically, but at least as a very, very close friend. Out of all the characters, Amy is probably the most canonical love interest Sonic has ever had. The last official love interest I want to talk about also happens to be a princess, but she isn't a chipmunk, or even an animal. I usually try to praise Sonic 06 when I can. I think it's actually a pretty decent game underneath all the glitches and poor polish. But one thing I can't defend, no matter how hard I try, is Princess Elise. As a character, she's completely useless, constantly being captured by Eggman, rescued by Sonic, and then being captured again. This routine repeats multiple times throughout the game, to the point where it's just hilarious. But there's something arguably even worse than this horribly played out trope. For some reason, Sonic Team tried doing this extremely awkward romance between Sonic and Elise throughout the story. There is quite a few things wrong with this. Needless to say, shipping Sonic with any human character is just wrong. I don't think I need to explain any more than that. I'm sure you all get the point.
Stop it. Get some help.
But even looking past this, the romance is, again, extremely awkward. Maybe it's just the weird delivery on some of these lines or the cheesy writing, but these scenes really just make me feel uncomfortable.
Your smile. That's all I need.
Since 06, we haven't seen Elise make any sort of comeback in anything after. It's probably for the best. So those were most, if not all, of the main love interests to Sonic the Hedgehog over the years. But what if I were to tell you that there were more love interests, but they never made it past the cutting room floor? Yep, there's two more characters I get to talk to you about today. Let's jump right into the first one, Tiara Bubowski. I'm serious, that's the name. I'm not sure if this is some kind of sick joke, but that's the name, and this is her. She's a scrapped character from Sonic Extreme, a game that unfortunately never saw the light of day. Some of the concepts would eventually go on to be implemented in Sonic Adventure, but Tiara was not one of them. I actually like her design a lot. She seems really fun, and I'm really curious what her personality and role would have been in the game. The second scrap character is Madonna. No, not that Madonna, but her name is a reference to the singer Madonna. Definitely a product of its time. Madonna is an extremely curvy human character that would have acted as Sonic's girlfriend. Her design and concepts were created before the original Sonic game, and she would have chased Sonic around in a similar way to Amy. Now I know I just said shipping Sonic with a human feels wrong, but there's honestly something about Madonna that almost kind of works. Maybe it's just the fact that she's just as cartoony as Sonic, because the extreme contrast between the art style of Sonic and Elise in 06 was super jarring, but her and Sonic's styles blend pretty nicely together, I think. Don't get me wrong though, it still feels a little bit awkward to pair a hedgehog and a human together romantically. At the end of the day, she didn't make it into the final cut of the game. Sega wanted to be able to market this game to a wider audience, and they decided she was too inappropriate to include. Obviously, her design is pretty spicy, so big controversy avoided there. One last fun fact is that she does have an appearance with a rebooted design in the Archie comics as Madonna Garnet. It looks like a Resident Evil character. It's actually kind of awesome. Sonic can kind of be a chick magnet, if you know what I'm saying. While I personally don't think the series should be so focused on subplots of romance, they can definitely add a little bit of spice to the story when used sparingly, or at the very least, add interesting interactions between characters. Sonic has had a handful of love interests throughout his history, but in the end, he usually remains a free spirit, unbound by the chains of commitment. I think this type of lifestyle definitely fits his character the best. It could be interesting to see how stories of future games handle other new love interests. But maybe let's just stay away from human characters next time. It's just kind of weird. Hey everyone, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you liked the video, leave a like, and subscribe for more content similar to this. Did I miss any characters? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know who your favorite love interest is for Sonic. And speaking of discussing Sonic, make sure to join the chaomix community Discord. We talk about all things Sonic. I'll leave a link to that in the description. With that being said, I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Peace.